My grandfather was a crop duster. That's what got me interested in aviation in the first place. And I was a little kid, you know, I'd sit on his lap and fly. But as a kid, you don't really have any outlets for aviation. You can't go flying, you can't take flight lessons yet. So I started building and flying remote-controlled airplanes. And I don't know if the people that know about remote-controlled airplanes, you have to learn how to take off and land. Someone has to teach you. But once you've learned how to take off and land, it's all about doing tricks and showing off to your friends. And you have to keep the airplane close to you. And so I started doing that when I was 9 years old and still do it today. And I didn't know it at the time, but it's basically airshow training. As a flight instructor, I found that the people who flew model airplanes first soloed much quicker than the people who didn't. And that's because they already know an airplane. They've already been flying an airplane. And it's very, very similar. There's obviously a few things that are different, but anyone who has children that are interested in flying model airplanes is by far the best way to get them going. I went to college and got a degree, in aerospace degree, and started my flight training there. Became a flight instructor, built my hours. Then I went to regional airline and flew there for a couple of years. Then I flew freight for a UPS feeder for a few months, and then became a corporate pilot. Did that for about 6 years, and that's where I started making a little money for the first time, and basically had tunnel vision to do all the little steps I needed to do to get myself in a position where I could at least afford an airplane and try. And once I got the plane, I started burning gas and flying, started an aerobatic flight school, did some aerobatic competitions, and then was invited to an air show shortly thereafter, and you know, the rest is kind of history. My advice to someone who has a goal is once you get the goal, to identify the steps necessary to attain that goal. A good example of that is I actually have an aerospace administration degree from MTSU. I don't have a pro pilot degree. And once I became a corporate pilot, I wanted to be the chief pilot. So I used the tuition reimbursement program from that company to start working on my master's degree in aviation management. Every paper that I wrote was specifically on getting the job that I wanted, and I used that once the job became available. I used one of those papers and attached it to my resume to let them know how adamant I was about getting that job, and I did. I became their youngest chief pilot, and the same with airshow flying. So a typical day for an airshow pilot on airshow day is to, you get up to get breakfast, go to the airport. There's a pilot briefing every day of the airshow. It's usually between 30 minutes to an hour long. All the pilots are mandatory to be there. You're going to get the schedule and all those things, the weather. And then get your airplane out of the hangar, fuel and smoke, and then you fly your aggressive 10 minutes of flying, and then clean the airplane up, get it back in the hangar, do it all again the next day. It's really, the airshow part is the fun part. The difficult part is the maintenance you do in the off time, the training you do on the off time, the long hours of cross-countrying the airplanes to where you're going. It's also fun. I mean, obviously,